It was our 15th wedding anniversary on that day. Having coffee with my wife after dining at the restaurant where I proposed to her, she dropped a bombshell. I've fallen for someone else. I know it's terrible to say this on a day like this, but I can't keep it secret from you any longer. I never expected that at the very place where I asked her to marry me. Fallen for someone else. She said nothing, just kept her head down. I was at a loss, looking up at the ceiling. But then, I suddenly realized she had been acting suspicious. My wife, who used to be frugal, started buying expensive makeup products and owning designer bags, one after another. And she would just leave them in our bedroom. Are those designer bags you have at home the gifts from him? At my question, my wife trembled. It seemed that was the case. I'm sorry, he gave them to me as presents. We were just friends at first, but we both realized we were serious about each other. I don't know if I'll end up with him, but I can't stay with you, feeling like this. The word divorce crossed my mind. She was in love with someone I never met. Didn't she vow to stand beside me for life's ups and downs? After her confession, everything seemed pointless. I felt like an idiot and didn't even feel like getting angry at her. Fine, let's split up. I don't want to know who you're in love with. I don't even want to talk to you. Don't you ever show up in front of me. My wife nodded silently at those words. I sighed deeply, took some money out of my wallet, and put it on the table. I don't want you coming home with me. Just go straight to your parents' house. I'll send all your belongings later. But I just need some time alone. I can't stand to see your face right now. Hearing that, my wife grabbed the money I left on the table. And she quickly left the restaurant. After she was gone, I took a sip of the cold coffee, feeling empty. She was someone I wanted to spend the rest of my life with, but sadly, I'll never see her again. She broke my heart and shattered it into pieces. That was the night I parted ways with the woman I loved. Soon after, I sold our house and moved into a cheap apartment. I used work as a convenient excuse for not taking care of myself. I would eat takeaways almost every night as I had no time to cook for myself. My shirts were always wrinkled as ironing was time-consuming. I would often sleep over in the office as I couldn't be bothered going home. One day, my boss, Bob, called me in his office. Listen, ever since your wife left, your life's been a mess. I'm sorry, maybe I should find myself a new wife. I joked in response. A new wife? All right, I'll find one for you. Actually, there is a girl I've been meaning to introduce to you. What? She's a relative of mine, a really nice girl. Wait a minute, please. Bob wasn't listening to me and was already making a call on his cell phone. Hello, Emily. Are you available to talk right now? I was stunned as Bob, even over the phone, cheerfully chatted with her in front of me. Great. Can you come over tomorrow morning? After hanging up the phone, Bob looked at me with a big smile. Her name is Emily. She'll stop by your house tomorrow morning. I've given her your address. Why don't you ask her to make breakfast for you? What are you talking about? Of course, it's not free. Bob started to tell me about Emily while laughing. She's been job hunting for a while. I told her she'd get paid by you for looking after you, so I'll leave it with you. Are you serious? That sounds like hiring a housekeeper. I felt dizzy at Bob's outrageous suggestion. But maybe he was just joking about finding a new wife for me. Yep, that must be it. She's a good girl, so if you like her, consider proposing to her. She's a very loyal person. She wouldn't leave you no matter what. Please, stop joking about things like that, I said to Bob, and then hurried off to the client meeting. After the meeting, I sent a report email to Bob, although I was exhausted. I dreaded going home. Maybe I'll stay at the office again tonight. Or should I find a cheap motel to stay at? As I was contemplating and walking through the streets, a young woman approached me. Excuse me, are you John? Yes, I am. And you are? Nice to meet you. I'm Emily, Bob's relative. She was the woman Bob called earlier today. Nice to meet you too. But how did you find me here? I was so confused that I didn't know what was going on. Uncle Bob told me you'd be around here somewhere. I happened to be nearby, so I thought I'd come to say hello. Looking forward to working for you from tomorrow, she said with a smile. I could only smile back wryly. Then, the next day, "Good morning, John." She appeared at my front door. Of course, I couldn't just send her away. What would Bob think if I did? So I invited her in and let her make me breakfast. It had been a while since I had homemade food. Wow, bacon and eggs. The bacon is perfectly crispy. I'm glad you liked the way I cooked it. She chuckled at my words. I looked at her and said, "It's been a while since I had proper breakfast. That might be why you enjoyed it so much." Thank you. I felt a sense of happiness and contentment. It's been so long since I've had such good food. You're just exaggerating. No, really. $10 an hour is not enough for this. I should pay you more. No, the current rate is good enough for me. But that doesn't feel right to me. At my words, she slowly shook her head. I'm unemployed at the moment. I can improve my cooking skills by doing this and even get paid for it. So I couldn't, and I wouldn't ask for a pay rise, she said with a bright smile. By the way, why did you agree to look after an old guy like me? Her expression changed instantly. She turned her face away from me and gave a strained smile. That's because I just admire someone like you, John. That's nice to hear, but I could tell she was lying. Her gentle demeanor became rather tense now. I felt something wasn't right. Is there something you're hiding from me? No, not at all. After saying that, I'm sorry. She suddenly raised her voice. What's wrong? I had absolutely no idea why she apologized to me. The truth is, the man your ex-wife fell in love with was my father. What? My father left my mother to be with your ex-wife. Since then, my mother has been mentally unstable, needing someone by her side. I quit my job to stay home with her. I was at a loss for words. So, Emily was the daughter of the man my ex-wife fell in love with. Unbelievable. It seemed that her father disappeared soon after I had the last conversation with my ex-wife at the restaurant on our anniversary. What a selfish man your father was. Instead of leaving you and your mother the way he did, he should have had discussion with your mother and get everything sorted before he started a new life with someone else. I felt sorry for Emily, who was looking anxious. I don't know what Bob was thinking when he thought of her as my potential wife, but this was just too much. Why did you agree to do this? I wanted to apologize. Apologize for what? You haven't done anything wrong. She shook her head. If I had stopped my father from seeing your ex-wife, you wouldn't have had to go through the divorce. My mother always blames me for not stopping him. Tears rolled down her cheeks. At that moment, I found myself hugging her tightly. John, I'm sorry, but let me say this. Stop blaming yourself. What your mother says is wrong. It wasn't your fault. Thank you. She cried quietly in my arms. I was sad, but at the same time, I felt anger towards her father, who abandoned such a devoted daughter just to be with someone else and never returned. Emily, you didn't do anything wrong. The one who is to blame is your father. He should have taken responsibility for his actions. She looked at me weakly. I just don't know what to do anymore. My father's gone, and my mother blames me for what happened. You don't have to do anything. If it's too hard for you to be at home with your mother, you can stay at my place. Thank you, but I really shouldn't impose myself on you, she said hesitantly. That was when I came up with a brilliant idea. Would it be all right if I met your mother? My mother? Emily looked surprised. Yes, maybe your mother needs someone to talk to and to share her feelings with. I think I can help her out because I know exactly what she's going through. You are probably right, Emily agreed. I was certain that her mother and I would understand each other very well. Or that was what I thought anyway. A few days later, I met Emily's mother, Sharon, and we talked about many things. I always knew it wasn't Emily's fault, yet I took it out on her. I never thought there would be someone out there who could empathize with me. When we're overwhelmed with our own issues, we tend to forget others are there for you. Sharon nodded weakly at my words. Thank you so much for coming today. I shouldn't be staying home all day, crying and feeling sorry for myself. I may just start looking for work. That would be better for Emily too. I agree. Maybe going somewhere with your daughter for a change of scenery would be good. She's been troubled ever since her father left. As we spoke, Sharon hesitantly continued. I know it's a bold request, but would you be kind enough to take her out? I've heard her so much that I should distance myself from her while I get my life sorted. Looking at her sad smile, I suddenly had an inexplicable feeling of sorrow. I understand. If there's anything I can do, just let me know. Thank you. She smiled at me. I smiled back at her. Emily continued to come to my house and help me with domestic chores. Not only that, we would go for a walk together to the nearby park and sometimes visit art galleries and aquariums and such. Gradually, she began to spend more time at my house. And we ended up getting married. I absolutely adore Emily. Sharon, who had reconciled with her, was very happy to see us together. Today, the kitchen is filled with the aroma of Emily's cooking. The sound of her chopping food with a kitchen knife was music to my ears. She happily said to me, I never thought I'd be your wife. I'm surprised too, to meet and marry someone 20 years younger than I am. I thank Uncle Bob for his crazy idea. Without that, we wouldn't have even met each other. Yes, I do too. Bob introduced Emily to me, thinking that two people abandoned by their family or partner would be able to understand each other, and that could help recover from the pain caused by the desertion. But he never expected us to get married. Life is really unpredictable. Bob said, laughing. Maybe we should ask Bob to make a speech at our wedding. That's a good idea, Emily said with a big smile. I smiled back at her. I'm really looking forward to our wedding next month.